I'm live now.
Morning.
Technical difficulties this morning. It closed me out, and then I had to come back in. My mic was muted, so I thought we were live, and I didn't push the live button. So, how are you this morning?
Pretty good.
Getting excited for next month?
Next month? You mean next
Yeah.
week?
No, next month.
Oh, well, for my AA birthday?
Yes.
That's still a ways away.
Yeah. You'll make it. I'm waiting a minute, and then I'll get started. Okay. Now it is AA Day, and today is June 3rd, 2023. Um, Please, if you don't mind your name being in the chat, it uploads. By all means, if you want to chat, that is fine. If not, I understand. Just hit the like button if you're just watching and listening, which is always appreciated. Um, this is for AA people and as well as friends and family of alcoholics, um, to help them to reach out to their relative or their friend and, let them know ways of helping that person realize, that, oh, well, maybe I do need that program or what have you. I do the AA because I got it for free. I'm doing it for free. And I just want to share something that I'm passionate about. And I have worked really hard to get sober and stay sober and want to help others to realize that they are worth every day, and every day sober is so worth it. A few rules: I don't like bullying, judgment, harassment, or any of those non likable things. So if you're here to do that, please just don't be here. If you're new, welcome. If you have been sober for a long time or even a short time, welcome. Um, if you're a family member or a friend of someone that could use this program and you would like to know how to go about doing that, you're welcome. Everyone is welcome here. There's no judgment, there's no racism. We're all here for this sole purpose of being sober, becoming sober, and staying sober. So, I am with my sister, my twin, my best friend, and my sobriety partner. Um, we have been 8 months apart in our sobriety, and we both share the same passion and the same wanting to help people to get sober and stay sober and find out that life is well worth being sober for, through the good and the bad. So, today, because it is Saturday, we will be reading the steps and traditions today.
I'll read the
And then,
steps this time.
huh?
I'll read the steps this time.
Okay. So we're going to say our serenity prayer and then dive into our book. Great. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
Step 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Step 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Number 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Step 7. Humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. Step 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. Step 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Step 10. Continue to take personal inventory and when we were wrong, promptly admit it. Step 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood it, praying only for the knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
I'm getting there. Hold on, guys. Okay. Let me read the traditions. 1. Our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. 2. For our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as He may express Himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. 3. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. 4. Each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5. Each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. 6. An AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8. Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9. AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly resemble to those they serve.
Responsible.
Oh, sorry. 10. Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and film. 12. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles
Principles before
above
personality.
personalities. Hey, we are in the big book, in chapter 5, on page 61. I'm starting at what usually.
What usually happens, the show doesn't come off very well. He begins to think life doesn't treat him very well, or treat him right. He decides to exert himself more. He becomes
Get down.
he decides to exert himself more. He becomes on the next occasion still more demanding or gracious, as the case may be. Still still the play does not suit him. Admitting he may be somewhat at fault, he is sure that other people are more to blame. He becomes angry, indignant, self pitying. What is the basic trouble? Is he not really a self seeker even when trying to be kind? Is he not a victim of the delusion that he can wrestle satisfaction and happiness out of this world if he only manages well? Is it not evident to all the rest of the players that these are the things he wants? And do not his actions make each of them wish to retaliate, snatching all they can get out of the show? Is he not, even in his best moments, a producer of confusion rather than harmony? Our actor is self centered, egocentric, as people like to call it nowadays. He is like the retired businessman who lolls in the Florida sunshine in the winter, complaining of the sad state of the nation. The minister who sighs over the sins of the 20th century. Politicians and reformers who are sure all would be utopia. If the rest of the world would only behave, the outlaw safecracker who thinks society has wronged him, and the alcoholic who has lost all and is locked up. Whatever our protestations, are not most of us concerned with ourselves, our resentments, or our self pity.
Selfish.
Selfish. What?
Do you want me to read?
I got it. Selfishness, self consideredness, that we think is the root of our troubles. Driven by 100 forms of fear, self delusion, self seeking, and self pity, we step on the toes of our fellows and they retaliate. Sometimes they hurt us, seemingly without provocation, but we invariably find that at some time in the past we had made decisions based on self, which later placed us in a position to be hurt.
So, our troubles, we think, are basically of our own making. They arise out of ourselves. And the alcoholic is an extreme example of self will run riot through he though he usually doesn't think so. Above everything, we alcoholics must be rid of this selfishness. We must, or it kills us. God makes that possible, and there often seems no way of entirely getting rid of self without his aid. Many of us had moral and philosophical convictions galore, but he could not live up to them even though we would have liked to. Neither could we reduce our self centeredness much by wishing or trying on our own power. We had to have God's help. This is the how, this is the how and why of it. First of all, we had to quit playing God. It didn't work. Next, we decided that hereafter in this drama of life, God was going to be our director. He is the principal. We are his agents. He is the father and we are his children. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumph arch through which we pass to freedom. When we secret, when we sincerely took such a position, all sort of remarkable things followed. We had a new employer, being all powerful. He provided what we needed. If we kept close to him and performed his work well, established on such a footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves, our little plans and designs. More and more we became interested in seeing what we could contribute to life. As we felt new power flow in, as we enjoyed peace of mind, as we discovered we could face life successfully, as we became conscious of his presence, we began to lose our fear of today, tomorrow, and or the hereafter. We were reborn. We were now at step three. Many of us said to our Maker, as we understood him, God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. I may do thy will always. We thought well before taking this step, making sure we were ready, that we could at last abandon ourselves utterly to him. We found it very desirable to take this spiritual step with an understanding person, such as ourself, our wife, or husband, or partner, best friend, or spiritual advisor. But it is better to meet God alone than with one who might misunderstand. The wording was, of course, quite optional so long as we expressed the idea, voicing it without reservation. This was only a beginning, through though if honestly and humbly made, an effect, sometimes a very great one, was left at once.
Oh, at once.
Yeah. Next, we launched out on a course of vigorous action, the first step of which is a personal house cleaning. Parent was that this
Ah,
world, huh?
where are you?
Page 66. Did I skip a page? I
No,
did.
we're on 64.
I said I skipped a page,
Oh,
which many of us had never attempted. So our decision was a vital and crucial step. It could have little permanent effect unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face and to be rid of the things in ourselves which had been blocking us. Our liquor was but a symptom, so we had to get down to causes and conditions.
Therefore, we started upon a personal inventory. This was step 4. A business which takes no regular inventory. Wait a minute. Hang on. Therefore, we started upon a personal inventory. This was step 4. A business which takes no regular inventory usually goes broke. Taking a commercial inventory is a fact-finding and a fact-facing process. It is an effort to discover the truth about the stock in trade. One object is to disclose damaged or unsellable goods, to get rid of them promptly and without regret. If the owner of the business is to be successful, he cannot fool himself about values. We did exactly the same thing with our lives. We took stock honestly. First, we searched out the flaws in our makeup which caused our failure. Being convinced that self manifested in various ways was what had defeated us, we considered its common manifestation. Resentment is the number one offender. It destroys more alcoholics than anything else. From it stem all forms of spiritual disease. For we have been not only mentally and physically ill, we have been spiritually sick. When the spiritual malady is overcome, we straighten out mentally and physically. In dealing with resentments, we set them on paper. We list people, institutions, or principles with whom we were angry. We ask ourselves why we were angry. In most cases, it was found that our self-esteem, our pocketbooks, our ambitions, our personal relationships, including sex, were hurt or threatened. So we were sore. We were burned up. On our grudge list, we set opposite each name our injuries. Was it our self-esteem, our security, our ambitions, our personal or sex relations, which had been interfered with? We were usually as definite at this example. I'm resentful at Miss Brown, the cause, his attention to my wife. Told my wife of my mistress. Brown may get my job at the office. Affects my sex relations, self-esteem, fear. Sex relations, self-esteem, fear. Security, self-esteem, fear. Personal relationship, self-esteem, fear. She's a nut. She snubbed me. She commented her husband for committed her husband for drinking. He's my friend. She's a gossip. My employer. Unreasonable, unjust. overbearing, threatens to fire me for drinking and paddling my expense account or padding my expense account. My wife misunderstands, nags, likes brown, wants house, put in her name. Self-esteem, fear, security, pride, personal sex relations, security. We went back through our lives. Nothing counted but thoroughness and honesty. When we were finished, we considered it carefully. The first thing apparent was that this world and its people were often quite wrong. To conclude that others were wrong was as far as most of us ever got. The usual outcome was that people continued to wrong us, and we stayed sore. Sometimes it was remorse, and then we were sore at ourselves. But the more we fought and tried to have our own way, the worse matters got. As in war, the victor only seemed to win. Our moments of triumph were short lived.
We're gonna stop there.
Okay.
So I can relate to the self-centered and self-pity and all that other stuff because that's what we do as alcoholics. We want everybody to pay attention to us and everything's wrong because of someone else. I remember that very well because I did blame it on other people when it wasn't their fault that I was drinking. It was my fault. It was my doing. It was me that had to change. Um, I wasn't nice when I was drinking, and that's one reason why I stay sober is because I don't want to go back to that person. Um, that person was not nice, didn't care about anything other than getting a drink, uh, went to great strides to find a drink, and thought I was fooling everybody else, and I wasn't. I was fooling no one else but myself. And that is the conscience of an alcoholic who's drinking is they're only thinking of themselves and where and when they're going to get their next drink.
Yep.
Go to great lengths to try to get a drink. Um, I I am honestly saying that I did those things and I wanted everybody to feel pity for me and it was always somebody else's fault and um it was just not not a great part of me is what I want to say. I wasn't who I am right now or today or have been for the past 7 years because or 8 years, sorry, because I'm not that person anymore. I am actually who I am. When I was drinking, I was covering up my I was self-medicating basically. Um, I I have depression and major anxiety, and um, it took me quite a while to finally realize that, hey, I'm feeling these things not because I'm drinking, but because I actually have this problem. And so I reached out to my doctor, and I got on meds for my issues, and I want to say about a year later, maybe it was a year later, I quit drinking. Probably a lot sooner than that, but I did quit drinking, and that was before I went to AA. And I went a year without drinking, and then I was like, well, I'm gonna see if I can do it again. Yeah, that took no time for me to go right back to who I was and where I had already come from. So even being a dry drunk doesn't make you any better, because you're still doing the oh me, poor me, and this is your fault and all that other stuff. But
Yeah.
then I got asked to go to AA with a friend of mine, and so I went, and I'm glad I did because I've been sober ever since.
I'm glad you
And
went because you got me to go. And
be, being
personal
going to AA,
inventory was not as hard as I thought it was going to be,
yeah.
but it's
Well,
something you
we
have to
go,
deal with
yeah.
in order to move on and stay sober.
Hmm. And me being sober and knowing from being going to AA for a long time, I was able to help uh, one of my nephews and one of my cousins, and I helped her get sober from more than just alcohol. Um, I helped get her out of a abusive relationship, and where she was doing all these things, I told her that no matter what or where she went, it would be better than being there. And so she left, and she has been sober for 4 years or 5 years. And I couldn't be more proud of her. And I helped my sister get sober, and I'm glad that I learned how I can help people in just sharing things that I've learned, ways that I cope with those bad days. And um, I've learned how to have fun sober. You don't have to get drunk to have fun. But for a long time, I thought that was the route. But even growing up, I knew that I could end up as an alcoholic because my father was an alcoholic, and I have other alcoholics in my family on all three sides. And it's a great thing to go and learn things that are great ways to stay sober and be an active person in your community and help people uh
Freely.
help huh
Help people freely.
yes, help them. And yeah, so
Taking your own inventory is something you should do on a daily. Um, if you feel like you have hurt somebody's feelings or fought with somebody, argued with somebody, or anything like that, and you're feeling bad about it, take the time to think and then go and make amends. But don't make amends for yourself. Make amends for that person because it's not for you, it's for them.
you said that
Because
backwards.
no, because an alcoholic who is all about themselves needs to do it for someone else. Staying sober for yourself is what you're supposed to be doing. And if you've hurt someone else's feelings and you argued or fought with them and you feel bad about it, then you need to apologize to that person. Don't expect them to come to you and apologize, because it may never happen. So that's my interpretation of your inventory and your making amends and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you're struggling to make amends, pray about it. Pray that it will come to you of how to go about doing it, or and writing it down really, really helps.
Yes.
But that's all I got.
Yeah. We're the only ones here.
That's okay.
Anyway.
We're sober.
Yep. We are. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting now. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. Stay sober. Love each other. Be safe. We're going to say the Serenity Prayer and be out. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back.
It works if you work it.
Work it. Love you guys.